there's a lot of dogs that we had that they had a disconnect between their body parts. They
Yeah,
would have a tail that's telling you one thing and ears that are telling you another.
right.
Cinderella have a waggly tail, but ears that are telling you I'm feeling another way.
I've got Gary Newcomb with us today. I hopefully you guys remember him. We were like the original team,
The
the
duo.
OG, right? It's funny, I've known Gary. He's had the mohawk. He's let his hair grow out, and now he's got the shaved head. He's done it all. So I'm super excited about having him back today. I wanted to kind of keep things light, especially what's going on with the fires in LA. And I know PJ and Christine talked about fundraising. So you know, whenever Gary and I talk, we always talk about dog behavior. We're going to kind of do that, but it's going to be kind of like more of a fun topic. And it's going to be the topic of a lot of things that are controversial about, can dogs really smell drugs? Can dogs really smell cancer? What does a tail wag really mean? Um, you know, and licking, there's always these different theories about why dogs lick. And the thing that I do love about Gary that we do have in common is we always try to find scientific studies. We don't necessarily listen to other dog trainers and what they had to say through their experience. I'm not saying they're wrong or right. It's just I feel more confident when we can find some sort of scientific data. Do you kind of agree with that, Gary?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
always try to look at science to lean on that. Yeah, it's kind of the structure that I always try to go on. And then I can try to put my own personal and even, other professional accounts into that. But I always try to wrap it around the science that's going to be make it able for me to believe it to begin with.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that gives us confidence that, we have these statistics that we can kind of throw out there. And one of the first thing I kind of want to talk about is our dog. I mean, we all know dogs can smell, so much better than we can. There's no debate about that. They're, how many more sensory cells do they have? I think 30,000 more than we have. I
Yeah.
mean, it's ridiculous. So of course
Yeah.
they can smell better than we can.
It's actually
But
like 200.
is that how much is, yeah, I know it's a ridiculous amount. So I ran across an article earlier late last year, but the study was actually done in October of 2023. And basically it states, and now let me get this right. The study, 2-year study from the Journal of Animal Cognition. And they concluded that when smelling drugs, that the dogs are right 25% of the time. So 75% of the time when dogs were sent in to smell drugs, and they checked, it was a false alarm. And I find that fascinating because we still see in the news about how dogs were involved in drug busts and they were like integral in finding these, blah, 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 blah. But don't you find that interesting, Gary? I mean, they're only right 25% of the
Yeah.
time. That's
Oh, that's been the
nuts.
case that, defense attorneys have been pushing for
Yes.
years.
Yes.
And, the theory that they use is that by using a dog to allow them to get around the Fourth Amendment, that's allowed them so many more searches that just out of the amount of illegal searches that they're going to find more product.
And
So,
don't you think too that it has something to do with the handler? Don't you think the handler probably already assumes, yeah, we got this guy?
oh yeah, the
And
handler, I mean, obviously I can make a dog jump. I can make a dog scratch. I can make a dog do whatever I wanted to do.
right,
So
right,
yeah, getting
right.
a dog to trigger a response is an easy one.
I
You
I
know,
agree.
other thing
I
is how
agree.
they're interpreting the dog's response. So,
Yes.
in the story that I have to share, it's going to be, that's the part that they're having issue with is how reliable is our interpretation of the dog's response.
Yeah, and I'm actually more excited about, what the article you ran across. So let me just do a quick intro and then I want you to take it over. So basically, Gary came across a similar study, but instead of drugs, it has to do with smelling cancer. And I remember, when we first started in 2011, this is a huge find. So the technology or the relationship, it's been around for a bit. So I'm not going to tip, are they that good or that bad? I'm like Gary explain. So Gary, kind of walk us through the stats that you ran across.
Okay. So the study that I found, basically, let me get down here. What they did is it's a company that's trying to come up with develop a system that they can do early cancer detection. So they're trying to use the dog's olfactory senses paired up with AI technology. So they're not using the AI for the actual sensing part of it. What they're doing is they're trying to use the AI to monitor the dog's reaction so that they can get a more consistent result. Because like
Yeah.
you said, in the drug
Yeah.
screen, the person can tip it one way or another, and
Right.
even
Right.
inadvertently, and
Right.
even if they're not trying to, they can do it inadvertently. So in this, they're using the dogs. They have different scans that they have for the dog, and uh, they're able to for 4 different types of cancer: breast, lung, colorectal, and prostate cancer. Just by having the
Not I sure
dogs.
when a dog just be smelling me in those areas.
Actually, the dog can smell it through your mouth.
Okay,
Everybody,
good.
all the testing is done just by the dog sniffing the person's breath.
Okay, good.
So,
Thank God.
and in that, they found in those types of cancers in the test group, they were able to spot 94% of the cases
Okay, so with AI.
with AI. Yes. So the dog's, detection rate was 94%, and coming out through the other end, that it would actually, the AI registered it as positive, and that it actually registered positive, and that only 6% of the cases uh, were not
False
caught.
alarms.
Yes.
So
So
did it give any stats about the map before AI was involved? In other words, what gave them the idea to even say, okay, let's take the human element out of it because the
that
stats are so bad? Is that
yeah,
kind
it's
of what
always
happened?
been such a gray area. There's not been anybody who's done it in such a large scale study without the AI reading. It's always been, hey, my dog was licking my mouth and going crazy, or my dog was smelling a place on my neck or my heart, or the
Right.
dog's usually just informal testing and then credited to a dog.
So
So
do you think they could use the same technology using AI with the drug sniffing dogs? Right?
I mean, I think that would probably improve it. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what the dog, I mean, obviously taking the human element out of anything is going to generally make it more accurate.
Yeah. It's like everything else in life.
Yes.
We're always messing everything up.
We're the broken
Um,
part of every system that we touch.
well, anyway, I find that really fascinating. And as much, I don't know about you, Gary, but for me, I love technology. I love the AI. I eat that up. But at the same time, I love science fiction.
Yeah.
And so I'm always like, yeah, I have a great imagination. And so like everyone else, we're always kind of worried, well, there's
I
got to be
mean,
some
that's
sort
how
of
America
balance,
is
right?
flooded. Some of our greatest successes are our greatest downfalls.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like air conditioner is it's a great
Yes.
example of that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I mean, I find it fascinating. And before we spoke earlier today about what we were going to talk about, I had never heard of AI being involved with anything
Yeah.
with
That's an
dog
interesting way.
behavior.
Even if I did think about it, I wouldn't normally apply it in that way,
No.
that they use it to read the dog as opposed to try to make some kind of receptor that would do the dog's job for them.
Did they talk about how they did it? Like, let's say the patient is sitting in a chair, and did they just send the dog in without a human, and then right now the computers are
And
like monitoring.
they literally have so the dog is smelling the breath through a chute, so there is no human to dog contact.
Oh, that's awesome.
Literally, the
That's
dog sticks
super
it,
clean.
goes into a snout, it gets a good breath, sniff of the human's breath, and then goes back and the computer starts scanning the dog.
Again, thank God it's just our
Yeah,
and then everything else.
yeah. I
Especially if there's
wonder if you'd have
testicular
more
cancer.
success if it
That
was.
would be dangerous.
I wonder if you'd have more success with the doggy handshake method.
I don't know. That's hilarious.
I think that may be
All right.
crossing over to some kind of canine glory hole action, though. That
Okay. I didn't want to go. I thought about going there, but you went there. And yeah, I love the way you put it. It's even funnier. The way you worded it was perfect. That's spot on. Like very
okay.
nice. Cool. Anyway, if you just tuned in, this is very scientific. This is not dirty. This is not an X-rated version of our show. So please, please, please. All right. So having said that, let's kind of segue into something else that's always a hot topic. You and I both ran across some articles about tail wagging and the significance of that. There's still a lot of controversy. By controversy, I mean there's a lot of difference in um, opinion about what this means. We
Yeah.
always, when we teach dog behavior, I always emphasize to owners, you want to see a nice animated tail. It means the dog is relaxed. Another good sign is that the dog's tail is wagging predominantly to their right. That's a good
Yes.
sign. That means the dog is relaxed. Straight up or to the left is not good. That means the dog feels threatened, and you need to take that very seriously. Obviously, it's a tails between the legs. Everyone kind of knows and agrees that the dog is scared or skittish. And you kind of ran across an article, right, Gary, that kind of supports this in some ways.
Yeah. They're basically, it's just backing up again. The scientists have been trying their hardest to find out what tail wags mean. And to some degree, it's always going to be their nemesis. That they're never going to, the egg they're never going to crack. You know, like you said, there's certain things about the tail wag that they all will acknowledge that they do know, but
Yeah,
there are also things like the directions, the up, down, all of that. You know, we know that by watching dogs, you know, a lot,
yeah,
especially the up and down, but the left and right is then backed up and, you know, is generally accepted throughout science. But, you know, there's elements to it that they still cannot crack as to why, and they're not comfortable just putting the general, you know, it's like a lot of the behaviors that we always assign to the dogs, you know, the human type behaviors that we try to put to dog, we simplify or we make way more complicated. And I
right,
think in this, you know, we're trying to simplify it too much that if a dog's tail's up and wagging, it always means it's happy. And that's not always
right.
the case. And they're definitely backing that up. This is a study out of Italy, this one. And they had thousands of dogs that they ran through, and then basically still can, even within breeds, you know, they did beagles was a big group that they usually always use for experiments. And
Yeah,
even within beagles, they couldn't find a solid percentage that they say this dog is feeling the same way based on this wag
yeah.
outside of the general ones that they accepted.
I'm kind of tending to agree. One thing I learned at the facility, I had so much great experience, even though it was very difficult at times. You would see a lot of dogs that had a nice animated tail, but their face and their barking style was contradictory to the tail, right?
Yeah.
I've kind of concluded that an animated tail, meaning it's going really quickly both ways, that just means they're excited. And it
Yeah.
could be in a bad way or it could be in a good way, right? Do you agree with that? I mean, I think
Yeah.
that's kind of what I learned.
Yeah.
But I did see a lot of times as dog got to know me, I did see that predominantly kind of right wag that kind of made me feel better. But I think, as a trainer or if you own dogs around a lot of dogs, you can't always just look at one thing, right? You can't just always look at
Yeah.
the tail or you can't just look at the
No.
fur, whatever. It takes a lot of experience and time to figure out, okay, should I enter? Should I give this dog some time? What is this dog really telling me? And I think that, mm, yeah, that kind of, I can get on board with that study that it's like kind of inconclusive. You did mention though, I thought something about the tail wag to the right. Did you, like, before we started, did you mention something about that?
Yeah, no, they did acknowledge that. But going back on the dogs, you know, that we had at the facility, there's a lot of dogs that we had that you could see were they had a disconnect between their body parts. They
Yeah,
would have a tail that's telling you one thing and ears that are telling you another. You know,
right,
Cinderella have a waggly tail, but ears that are telling you I'm feeling another way.
right.
Trinity would, you know,
Yes,
would be up on you and happy and smiley waggling tail and be showing you teeth at the same exact time.
right,
So you have to be
right,
able, that's really going to give the specialty really a relationship between your dog to find out exactly how they feel within that, you know,
right.
those displays, because, you know, each of them are going to display it in a slightly different way.
Well, I think you put it better than I did. I think, and we always talk about this, especially in training, and we try to teach people, look at the tail, look at the ears, look at the coat of the dog, and then you can kind of come to the conclusion. Obviously, the dog showing teeth, you definitely need to respect that. If the dog's giving you side eye, definitely respect that and take your time.
Okay, I found it for you. It says dogs can use their tails to wag to communicate with one another or with their human. A wag to the right may mean that a dog is interested in something. A wag to the left could mean that there's uncertainty or nervousness.
I liked what they said it could mean.
Yes, exactly. It's going to give you
You know,
something that
it's
lead.
yeah, I'm gonna well, okay. I mean, I think that supports what we teach. I mean, I'm mathematically speaking, if I see a dog and they're predominantly wagging to the right, I feel pretty damn good that everything's going really well. I can't think of an instance in 12 years where I've seen the right wag it when it went south. I can't
Yeah.
think of it,
I mean,
one.
it's the level of reading too.
Yeah,
More generically, you can read a wagging tail. Is your success rate going to be? Your success rate probably going to be like the drug sniffing dogs, 50%.
yeah,
But if you're just looking at a wagging tail, meaning that the dog's cool, most of the time that is going to be the case.
I agree. It's funny though too. If I really do think about it, I'm always looking more at the mouth and the ears more than the tail,
Oh,
honestly.
yeah.
I usually use that as a better barometer, but
Yeah. Except for the tuck, anything above,
yes. Yeah, we can all agree that tuck means the dog's definitely skittish and scared
yeah,
and give it some
they're way
time.
outside their comfort zone. So
Right.
approach with caution.
Approach with caution. Okay, so I think we beat that to death as well as smelling. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about dogs that lick or don't lick, and why are they licking, and the different theories on why they lick. As humans, yes, we like to think that we're getting the dogs licking us because they love us, right?
Yes.
And we've been led to believe too that this stems from when they were babies and puppies, and the mom, feeding them through the mouth, and this is it kind of builds on that, right? I just had a session with someone and their biggest complaint about their dog was the dog was constantly licking them, and she did not like it. She didn't like to be licked. And my first thought was, wow, I don't think I've ever heard that. I mean, as humans, we love it when our dogs are licking us, and we feel like we have a bond, right? I mean, so what is you've been doing this a long time as well. Like, kind of, what have you learned about dogs that lick or don't lick?
Yeah. That's going to be an individual display. Like, you meet people who are huggers, you meet people who are not.
Yeah, that's a
So
good analogy.
I think everybody does that. Within that, why do they do that? And I think that is the full gamut range of gray area right there is why they do it. Hey, you have dogs who will do it from the dominant side all the way down to dogs that are nervous lickers that are just looking to appease their, what they feel is more superior. You have dogs who do it for, I smell something on your breath. I want to get it. You have dogs who are like cleaners that are, you got something in your eyes. I'm going to pull it out for you. So
Right.
that's why it's like, deciphering the tail wag. There's so many gray area reasons why it could be happening that it's hard for me to put my finger and say definitively, I'm going to subscribe to this one.
Yeah. I think the one thing I can say is definitely a wives' tale is dogs lick us because of the salt on our skin. I can't find anything that proves that that's true. Everything I've read, it's kind of a wives' tale. Have you ran across anything like that?
No, no, I've been athletic my whole life. I've done, lots of things, and I did not find that my dogs were any more, in my face and affectionate or licking me anymore when I came home sweaty than when I didn't.
Yeah, no, I agree with that too. I do think, yeah, and like you said, personality speaking, we have a dog that has to lick us in the morning. It's kind of like making sure we're all awake. And he doesn't really lick the rest of the day, but he definitely licks all of us in the morning, my wife and I and all the dogs in the bed. And I think that's kind of cute. But I do agree. I think it's more like, I love your analogy about people that are huggers and affectionate, some that are not. Um,
Anytime that you have someone, my dogs want to know, my dog does X and I want to know why. It's our human nature to want to know
yes,
why a dog does something. And for that, I always answer, I have no idea. It could be the most weird thing, I told this lady, my dog barks at my neighbor whenever my neighbor walks by. Why? And so your dog could have seen your neighbor and heard a siren at the same time or heard a bird squawk and think that it came out of your neighbor's pocket. Your dog
right.
is not operating with the same reasoning ability that we are. They're
Right.
not making decisions based on the things that we make the decisions based on. So why? I can't tell you why. Your dog is operating on a wavelength that I can happily say I don't really subscribe at.
Yeah, and you are 100% correct. A lot of times, especially when it comes to affection, and as humans, as much as even I try to understand, I know very well that dogs are not humans in fur coats. I say that like 20 times a day. Everyone knows that I think that. But even me, I kind of every once in a while humanize the dog, right? I mean, I can't help myself. And I think when it comes to affection, like licking, we all want to go, oh, this dog loves me, because that's what human beings do, right? We kiss, we hug. And I'm a very affectionate person. I'm a very touchy, feelsy kind of guy.
Don't I know it?
Shut up. No, I know, I know. It's easy for me to go down that path. And I know my mom's the same way. I mean, my mom is constantly complaining that her dog doesn't lick her, you know. And I think, like you said, that's just his personality. Now, Charlie loves my mom. There's no human being on earth that he loves more than my mom. And I do think it's interesting that he doesn't lick at all. He doesn't lick
Yeah.
anybody. Dogs, he doesn't, but that's just him. He shows his
Yeah.
affection in different ways, right? So I think you make a good point. Mm. All right. Last thing I kind of wanted to talk about, and I've seen and read through the years so many different theories, and that's when dogs eat grass. Um, I've heard it both ways. Dogs eat grass because they're sick. Dogs eat grass because they think they're gonna be sick. They want to get it out. I've kind of learned that I've never seen a dog not eat grass. And I've never, from my experience, I've never seen a dog, you know, getting sick and then decides to eat grass and then won't eat grass for months until they get sick again. I've never experienced that. What's your take on that?
So, I'm going to go again with what I can actually say that I've personally experienced.
Right.
And
Right.
that is when I eat grass, just kidding. Yeah. So
When
to
you
me,
smoke grass or eat grass?
dogs that eat grass, usually eat grass all the time. And,
Yes.
but when a dog is sick to their stomach, I can absolutely tell you that it will make them absolutely throw up.
Yeah.
And usually it doesn't come up as just good, healthy grass. It comes up with a bunch of bile and stuff. So
Yeah.
there is
A
obviously
lot of
some
foam
data.
and bile. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So, if they use it in that technique, it will actually make them throw up. But again, I've had dogs that eat grass all the time. Huntington, the dog I have now, never eats grass. He doesn't eat it when he's sick. He doesn't eat it when he's healthy. Just a personal preference thing. Maybe he sees that I will never eat a salad and he won't.
Yeah, this is so it's funny you use the word salad. The dude that pretty much taught me a lot, he would always say that, oh, I guess you want a little salad today. He would never correct the dog. It didn't seem to bother him that the dogs were eating grass or not eating grass. He never told me any of the things I've heard, like, oh, the dog's going to be sick or wants to be sick or whatever. Right? He let him have it. He'd always say
Yep.
what you just said. I guess you want a little salad today, and it's
Yep.
fine. So anyway, I don't know what we proved here today. From that, I do think it's always fun to talk about these things and get different opinions. I feel really good though about our first topic about dog smelling, and I wish I had real money and we could like use this AI with the drug sniffing or whatever to even further this even more.
I also found studies on that. One of them was done in Sydney and they had a super low percentage that they got back. I copied that down real quick.
Yeah, I know, and I know LA Airport uses dogs quite a bit. And I don't know about other place.
The Sydney, Australia, theirs was the worst year that they had was in 2014 when only 21% of the 14,000 triggers resulted in actual drugs. Their best year was 32%.
Why waste the money? I mean, if your stats are that horrible, why keep spending the money? Like, you got to figure out a different solution. I guess it's political and bureaucracies, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess.
I mean, the war on drugs proved to not be successful, on
Oh,
several different fronts.
no, no, I know, I know. Well, everybody, I appreciate you tuning in. Please comment give us some questions. If you have any stats or any records that you've come across about any of the topics that we discussed today, please let us know. You can put comments there, or you can email me directly at steve@thelittlereddog.org. And again, hopefully by the time this airs, the fires in LA will be done and we don't have to worry about it anymore. But anyway, Happy New Year, everybody. Take care, be safe, and thanks for tuning in. Take care.